Here, here, two, go! Here, here, two, go!
Good afternoon, fellow Ambazonians. Good afternoon to you all, fellow Ambazonians across North America, and for those of you in the Persian Gulf, good night to you. For those of you in Australia and Southeast Asia, I think it's good night. It's about 2 a.m. It's about 3 a.m. over there. For our people across the Ambazonian territory and across sub-Saharan Africa, good evening to you all. I am Lucas Asu, the Press Secretary of Ambazonia Governing Council. Today, I would like to make a couple of statements and provide clarity to the Ambazonian people regarding education and schools in Ambazonia. This is the period in which parents are uncertain whether kids will be able to go to school or not, or what is the education policy. Will school resume? Will kids be able to go to school? What date? When will school resume? If there is any possibility or something like that. I would like to provide an organizational clarity from the leadership of the Ambazonian Liberation. I will be speaking in Pidgin. So, fellow Ambazonians, good evening for all for all our people, for across the territory, across the 13 states. I don't come for council una. I be una Pekin. I be una brother Lucas Asu. We're the press secretary for the executive office for Ambazonia Governing Council for the leadership of Ambazonia Liberation Struggle. All man place day, wa papa and wa mami dem, una place day. We understand, say, during this time of the year, a lot of una get a lot of concerns A lot of una get a lot of worry, a lot of una get doubts, una get fear for una heart about the future of our picking them, about whether picking they will be able to get education or picking they will be able to go for school, whether we go remain for get picking away forever, they no go ever go school again. So a lot of all those questions then, Judah go take the time for answer some of those questions for una, for bring una clarity and for tell una wetin be the policy for the liberation, wetin be the policy wey what people they need to understand, and how education for Ambazonia it go be. All this one na the main topic we will talk about today. But before we go for all those ones, as all una be here and also all una know, say the leadership of Ambazonia Governing Council over the weekend it been the leader the day we God it be bring the leader for this world as we be taken for explainer for una. So the leader be invite the leadership of Ambazonia Governing Council so that they will get a leadership summit for Oslo for Norway. For the first time for our liberation struggle, for the first time since this new wave of Ambazonia uprising for this generation is start. Now the first time this way an organization one leading national liberation movement. It create a summit for bring the top political and defense leaders them for take a review of our successes, for take a review of the liberation, for take a review of the new ways where the enemy they take and for operate, the colonial state they take and for operate, their own programs them, their own narrative, their own agenda, their own propaganda, for take all those things and look at say the strategy way we create them for crumble the occupation, for defeat the occupation, and for render Cameroon a useless state. Now, how effective those strategies, where they don't work for take with this far, those strategies, how effective those strategies they be now compared to 2016, compared to 2017, compared to 2018, compared to 2019, 2020, 2021, and now for 2022, with the changing dynamics of the liberation, how effective those strategies to be. How effective. Now the importance when you get a brilliant, visionary, strategic leadership, we get that kind of mindset. Because things that they change, the enemy they adapt and modify their own ways. So if you need to review your processes, your game plan, your strategies, then you go be knocked out, right? But we, because we be the intelligent generation, we apply leadership psychology principles and principles for organizational effectiveness and excellence in terms of execution of strategies, right? So that's why the meetup for do these things for una, for reset the liberation struggle, because the game of the war don't change. The way we like the public, the act on the ground don't change. The way they are soldier, the act on the ground don't change. The way they fight, it don't change. Everything don't change. So a people, when they need to do a review of what they go on, they don't make progress. But being people, the way will be proactive. We will think in advance so that we create future solutions for current problem and future problems. Right? So I want to thank the leadership team for every person within the Ambazonia Governing Council where they make their way for Oslo, Norway, and for all AGOVC Global, where they also go for Oslo, Norway for the summit. We salute una, we thank una plenty, and we honor just the dedication And as all wanna know, the leader of our War of Independence, Dr. Cho Ayaba, he renew a promise for una. He renew a commitment for una. He renew a vows for una liberation struggle. All right. So, what you una need for know, na say, while people they rise up, education it be one of the things them with the cause this recent uprising for this 21st century for the Ambazonian people. The education for our people them forget the kind education where it go make person say you go school, you become resourceful, you become creative, you become innovative, you become inventive, you become ingenious. The purpose of school now for take a human mind, for take talent and develop them into skill sets, into resources, for increase the way a person, it not only the way a person they think, but for increase their ability. For say the thing take waiting they don't learn them. And they add value for their environment. They become useful, they develop skills, they develop talent, they develop knowledge, they develop competencies. Or tools, things them where they go make that person it become a useful human being for society. A useful human being in terms of human development, potential development, capacity development, talent development, cognitive development. Okay? Now the purpose of education that for educate, now for bring out the best out of a person. I don't be a teacher for the last almost 12 years. I need to teach the kind of school when I think. I do not only professional development education in terms of leadership, psychology, and peak performance for organization and for people them, for business and for people their private life. And they teach plenty courses, even on persuasion and communication. And they teach courses on neurolinguistics, how to create change. So I also don't be a teacher, so I understand the psychology of effective teaching. I will actually create programs for effective teaching in the future, not be now. So the goal, not be enough for take person, you send it, talks to make it go school. There is a big difference between schooling and education. Wait till we get them with the colonial state. Remember, the reason why Cameroon colonized Ambazonia, he occupied Ambazonia. Now for dismantle the Ambazonian institution and then take the Ambazonian people then, everything where they get them, including their education, and then occupy the educational system, take the education where it be the highest education system for Africa, and then you take them, you turn them, make it be na something where it just be na paper. So that's why a person, he go school, he go primary school, go secondary school, he end up for go even technical trainings or schools them, or even university. Most of, I mean, it be very funny. A picking go come out university, even for your own environment, wait till you learn them, it be absolutely useless. Wait till you learn them for even your own environment, it be absolutely useless. So when I get all these people then, with Cameroon, it don't take the educational system of the Ambazonian people then, it take them, it turn them into some kind of thing where people now need for beg and people die for even ask me to give them something they call and say GC board. And then they give them and then they take them back. Now they don't go back where you're on there. Alright? So education be very important for our people. Not be schooling. Education. Education be very important for human development, for the development of the human spirit, and for the building of progressive societies. It be very important. That's something we always value. I value education because I know the importance. I know what the education don't do for me. Not be schooling. Education. I know what it don't do for me. I know how it don't change my life. And I want make our people get the best. I get some of the best education for this world. As a person, based on what I choose for one put on my head and for B. I want to make our picking they get that and even much more. So that they feel become useful to themselves. They feel become creative. They feel become imaginative. They feel become inventive. They become ingenious. They become resourceful. No matter place where they dey. Even if the person then for village, the education will be so useful with that person. Even if he choose now for go stay for village, he will become successful, get a good life and create a good quality of life because he will know for tap into the abundance of the resources where it is around me and add value to those resources. Now, I'll give you a perfect example. See this fruit that they call them pear. Now the human mind, it takes something will be just there for forest. It be just there for bush. And then it find value. Say be nutritious. Now the human mind. Amazonia be blessed with abundance. But the human mind, it don't be blocked. The occupation system don't block the human mind of our people them. They don't feel see the abundance for place of the day. They don't feel perceive abundance. Where people be surrounded by abundance. All types of abundance. For them people create all sort of wealth. And create different things. But the education, the school system, where they occupy a create them for our people them, it make what people them, they not feel perceive the abundance where they be surrounded by. Because the goal of the occupier is for make you so weak and for disable you. The goal of the occupier is for disable the human mind. Now for disable human capacity, now for disable human intelligence on the occupied people, so that the occupied people they will be weak. Because when you think critically, practically, scientifically, when you feel be resourceful, the occupier not feel use you. You go see occupation like some very bad thing. So, in order to occupy the people then, the first thing what the occupier do now for disable the people their capacity for think, disable their ability for be able for ask critical questions, for challenge evil. So it disable the humanness inside we. It disable our resourcefulness. It disable our people, their capacity for be explorers, for be scientists, for be inventors. The occupier therefore disable those things in order for weaken the human capacity, the intelligence and the potential of our people then. So that's why they therefore take away our educational system and then create a watered down system where it gets zero value to the environment, to the person, to the community. Because the goal now for make the occupied person be dependent on the occupier. And for make you be dependent on the occupier for your own survival. Not be for you, for be an independent, thinking, creative, successful, resourceful human being. Where you go get personal power. When you get personal power, you feel create wealth. You feel create things. But when that power don't be taken away from you, you be nothing. So over the years, now the system there where people don't create that. I just this morning woke up this morning and I read a sad news. Say breach for one of the villages. Actually, when I give me a moment, I pull up the information so that if you call the name of the village, just give me just a moment. Yes, I guess for the village for Bangabi for Upper Banyang for Manu, a major breach where almost 30 different villages within Upper Banyang they use this breach for Bangabi for Upper Banyang for cross. Now that bridge they use them for cross. About 30 different villages that they pass now through this bridge for interact and trade between the communities and for even reach for other parts of Upper Banyang and then for even for access Manfred Central, the big town. We don't hear say due to raining season, that bridge when the community it be built down. They just take na plan. They build their bridge for their own survival. We hear say because of the too much rain, the bridge it don't collapse. Now you get about 30 villages. They nothing move. Not about 30 villages, they nothing move. The bridge don't collapse because rain fall, wash the whole thing. So think about the thousands of Wamamidem, the thousands of our brothers, the thousands of our sisters, their livelihood. All the things that they're supposed to carry them from farm, go sell them for market, or for go carry things them from one village, go sell them for the other village. That bridge now the only thing that be to give them economic survival. The bridge don't broke. What do you think is going to happen with the inhabitants of about 30 villages? Are the conditions and that where the occupier don't create them, and the environment that where the occupier don't set them up for our people then. Now the existence of our people then that. And so this one, it be connected to the schooling system where the occupier don't create them for our people then. The school system where the occupier don't create them for our people then. So what it don't happen for a Bangabi, not just the exact same thing of the occupational state where they don't put our people them through. Okay? So I want to send we send prayers to all the people them who they be affected by this flood. We send our prayers, we send our love out to all our mammy them. Where they not fit carry their things and where they move them from farm for carry them, go sell them for other villages, and for move and for go for town, for go sell them, for take care of their families. We send our love out, we send our prayers for now. And the thing this way, now the story this, now the Amazonian story this, all across the territory. Over the weekend, we hear how, because of the rainfall, how a lot of road, the court. Now the occupational system that. How this one relate to my talk about education? You connect? Of course. We don't see a video. We don't come off outside with people them. Some person. The video, it be so funny way I know if you play that kind of video for for now. But the video they for outside the way most of them don't watch them. Some person will call himself say he be a soldier. He cover his face, he hide, and he say he be a commander and he be a general. And he speak on behalf of he speak on behalf of Ground Zero. So I want to ask all now when I watch, all now when I be intelligent people then. I want to ask you now. Imagine say some person come out. He take a yeah, imagine say some person come out. He takes something tire for his face. And then he can tell you say, Mommy and Papa them. I want to tell you now. Say from today on, na me I be this person. And I want to tell you now say from today on, when I live and me when I begin to go school. Okay? You know who they talk for you? Now who you think say they talk for you? Now who he voice you think say you listen to? Now who he voice you think say you listen to? Now who they can give you those instructions? Who? Who side come out? Who it be? Who side come out? Why they hide the face? Because most of the commanders them for Ground Zero, all man the face they for outside. Why this one they hide the face? All the top generals on the ground, all their face they for outside. All the top generals and commanders on the ground, almost all the fighters on the ground, their face they for outside. Who it be where they hide the face? Why they hide the face? Why? Why you one can't talk to people then? You they hide your face. Who you be? So now, imagine say you follow that advice. You they follow the advice, you know place where the advice come out, and you know who give you the advice and who give you the instructions? On whose behalf? When I remember, I tell one about education. You see, when you be an educated person, the very first thing, when you see a ghost, it can present itself. Say, I be soldier. Now me, I be a commander for Ground Zero. I dey talk for you about education. Almost all commanders them for Ground Zero, they get face. We know them. We know their name. We know their faces. You know who we talk to? So the first thing where education will help you, an educated person, you ask and say, who be this? Why you want can talk such an important message? You go cover your face. Wait till you hide them. A ghost, enough he can tell you about your future. A ghost, enough he can tell you about your picking their future. You will listen for a ghost for can tell you about your destiny? Would you? You in your rightful mind. A person will cover himself. You don't know who he be. He can't give you direction for your future. You go take her? You want to be very careful, Ambazonians. What if you talk? What if you listen to the Cameroon government? You know? What if you did listen to the spokesperson of the Cameroon government? You go know. And I had to give you that advice. Now be very careful. I don't always tell when I say as an intelligent people, when I always ask questions for things that concern the lives of una picking them, for things that concern our liberation struggle, for things that concern our future. When I always ask questions, things must come from credible people, from places where we feel count on and depend upon. For people where they get a track record and they be consistent based on the aspiration of the people. So that video, it be carried out. In fact, Micah, I just tell you now up front. The AMF, where they claim say they be now they speak for all the forces. I be B-Day for 2018. I be one of the people then for 2018 when the concept of AMF come out. I be one of the people then inside the forum with General Ivo when they try to bring all generals them together for work together. I be present. I know the story of AMF from the beginning to the end. Now so far I create the AMF. And so far we will know it. The one way they work with Cameroon Prime Minister in office. For say Ambazonian no fit exist. For say only Cameroon fit solve this problem. And so far we take your money from the Cameroon Prime Minister office for derail the liberation struggle. Una know it. Now so far create AMF. Who stand so far day today? It work now who? Alright? Now given at the background, the person now where he talks in he control AMF. His name na Angel Michael. Angel Michael, he dey for prison. He dey under la Republic their custody. Before he disappeared, we contribute money. The moment that money reach their hand, 3 of them disappear. Okay? When during that period where they create this AMF, I just tell now, una need to understand what is going on. Muna not be carried away. They come up, make all the forces, including ADF. Since AMF it is supposed to be a collaborative platform, AMF is not a force. AMF not being a force. AMF, the idea of AMF come together now for forces to work together. It's supposed to be in a collaborative platform. AMF is not a force. Make no person not deceive una. AMF is not a force. They create AMF as a collaboration for forces them. So when they bring all these forces them together, all the various forces from Ambazonia, they're supposed to put forces together and then they will launch AMF as a collaboration of all the forces. They can't calculate the number. They're launching, it is supposed to take place with 3,000 forces. Plenty ADF forces, other different forces, then they will come together all. They want to launch AMF as a collaboration of all the forces. That means say ADF, all that kind of thing, with all the other forces then. 3,000 t-shirts. Guess who sponsored the t-shirt? General Ivomba, he put 1.5 million for print those t-shirts. General Ivo of ADF, he give 1.5 million CFA for make those t-shirts for all the other for all forces them, for launch the collaboration. When they don't go make those t-shirts, the soldier then when they come out for go pick up those t-shirts, the same people then when they claim say they want launch AMF, they catch those soldiers then when they go carry those 3,000 t-shirts. The soldier don't go buy the t-shirt, they make the t-shirt, the soldier they go buy t-shirt for carry and come back inside the territory. The same people that they create AMF, they catch those soldiers then, they kill them, they take those 3,000 t-shirts. All them, any person, including Mark Barretta, know this story of the AMF. They know this story. Till today, every single general will be there for the AMF forum. Either they catch you alive or they kill you. Every general will be there for that forum where they call an AMF, for the creation of AMF. They either pick that general up alive or they kill you. We lost 10 generals within a space of 6 months inside AMF forum. Every person just disappeared. They pick you or they kill you. Now the story down of AMF. So today, they go around claim say AMF is a force. AMF is not a force. AMF, they never ever train forces saying that AMF forces this. They identify forces just like the IG. They identify existing forces and then they go tell that force say, okay, you be, Mujo talk say you be mountain lions. Mountain lions, you be mountain lions, you be mountain lions. Well, we want me to be AMF. That's how they work. AMF is not a force. They try for but take existing forces and then give those existing forces another name from their existing identity. Like Grandpa for Santa. Now Grandpa for Santa, now part of the 7 kata. But if be a member, if they talk say be a member of the AMF, so you will go claim say Grandpa for Santa na AMF fighter or na 7 kata. So when I get the game, right? I just give another one as an example, right? So that's what these guys did. So what you wanna see them on the ground, now a constant manipulation of the Ambazonian people then. Just like they come up with AMF as a collaboration. Now the same thing they come up with what they call as say ASC as a collaboration of forces. That one no work out. Then they can move on into restoration forces. For take existing forces and then give them a new name. Now the whole thing is will go on for ground zero. Once they give them a new name, then they will take those forces, they switch their allegiance. Like when I don't see what happen. When Sako come in, even no pity, be toxic, they fight under restoration forces. When they don't fool them enough, today they go say, hey, they fight under Sako. When they fool them, they use them politically, and then they go make audio. Hey, I need to fight me under Sako. Oh, I don't need to fight, I be independent force. So this constant manipulation, it don't go on since 2018. Not be something that will be very new for us. But when you don't live through that period and you're inside the game, when you're inside the system, when you're inside the operational system, when you're inside the core of what did happen, you laugh because you know the game. They move these forces from ASC and then they say they be restoration forces. Today, they not be restoration forces anymore. No one answer the name restoration forces. Any man the runner. Why? Because of the manipulation and the deception, and they see the impact of how they use these forces them, like political tools, like prostitutes. Today, they will carry them, say, now, when I do under this person. Tomorrow, they will carry them, sell them for this other person. Then they use them for transaction. And the people, they don't even know who is behind these transactions. They don't even know who they pull the strings behind. They don't even know who be the real person who will set up this agenda for move these forces from one instrument to another instrument to another instrument. They don't even know. Now the confusion that way, a lot of these forces, that's why a lot of forces, they die easily. That's why a lot of forces, they be so frustrated easily. So when I don't see all these failed activists, and the one way, now the failure of all failures, Mark Barretta, the failure of all failures of all activists, now Mark Barretta. Okay? Well, when I don't see all these people, then they don't see the Ambazonian liberation struggle like a place for do political experiments. They come, they first tell now, all man must worship the IG. And then they come, they tell, I say, no, that IG is a wrong idea. And then, no, Sako. And then they say, no, Sako the bad man. And then they say, and then they be confused. And then they be confused. And then they don't know place for go. And then they don't know the narrative for push them anymore. And then they say, when I know something, the leadership must come on for ground zero. The leadership must come on for ground zero. Now the leadership must come on for ground zero. And then they say, AMF now the leadership for ground zero. And then they say, Ambazonians, AMF now the leadership for ground zero. You really pity, you feel sorry for these people. They don't come on with the shout, IG. Why these people? IG. They don't come out from shouting IG. After 5 years, no, not be IG anymore, not be IG again. Leadership now for ground zero. After they don't fail with the first IG, they fail with the second IG. And then they take their own small money for corruption. As all that be see, Mark Barretta named to be there for that Sako paper. Say he be the receive money from Sako. So after all these failures, these people then will never ever stand for anything, will be consistent. When I name you one thing where Mark Barretta don't support him. One, where Mark Barretta don't support him for this Ambazonian liberation struggle, and he don't stand, and he don't walk, and he don't last. When I name one. So, who do you want to listen to? You want to listen for people that produce results? You want to listen for people that be consistent? You want to listen with men and women of character and principles? People that get foresight and intelligence? Or I want to listen for people the way They don't manipulate una from day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Manipulate una for the last 5 years. And after 5 years, everything with they touch them, it don't melt, it don't crash. And today they go hide now for Twitter. They don't resign the liberation. They don't resign the liberation. now they go tweet. Oh man. So now the mafia this way they go on in order for the people them for divert the Ambazonian people their attention, as the Cameroon Prime Minister don't can make promises for some of them through the people that they influence them. They don't can make promises. That's why when I don't see now, they don't move their cartouche. So leadership for Ground Zero, AMF. Una come up, una go for how they, una go announce, because the colonial prime minister don't make promises. So they define new ways for break into the new Cameroon prime minister, a new orientation, a narrative. For try for take ghost, for try for take prisoners, for use prisoners inside Set and Kondengi, and manipulate the population. St. Michael did for Kondengi. They don't move it now, put it for Set. Who know what I did for Set? Or did for some other place where Cameroon military intelligence they use it for this propaganda. Wanna be very careful. I owe una this truth. I owe una. Because for all the suffer we una do already suffer, it be very wrong for live and make people they can manipulate una. Just because they see certain signals. When I go read the New Humanitarian, the article will come up for the, I want to go understand the mindset of which that AMF people then they talk about. All right. So, failed activist, failed movement, failed organization, where since the school boycott policy, there is no other organization, there is no other movement. We don't create an educational policy for the Ambazonian people then. Since Patasang and the Teachers Trade Union at the time under the consortium, they be create the school boycott policy as part of the resistance. No other movement, you don't create an educational policy for the Ambazonian people. Because when you talk to you don't want Cameroon education, you must create an empowering alternative. You must offer something to be better. About 3 years ago, the Ambazonia Governing Council, it put together a team of education experts. It bring together analysts, education experts, and pull people them together and give them 6 months for do a research for the best educational systems in the world. For go around the world, investigate, research the best education systems, and then for take the best of the best of the best of the best and find the best 10. And within the best 10 for find the best practices and what to make these best 10 the best 10 and most effective for the world. Now so they take and create the Ambazonia Education Board and they create the Ambazonia Curriculum of Education. Now based on research. for offer our people them something better. For offer our people them something where it reflect 21st century rich education will be science-based and where it be adaptive to our own needs, our own environment, our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations of our people, them, our culture, it be adaptive. And so they design the Ambazonian Education Board, and then they create Ambazonian Curriculum of Education for meet the 21st century needs of an Ambazonian child in order for create children of greatness, in order for create the future of greatness for our picking them, for our people them, in order for lay the foundation of the greatness of the new state. Not been by talk, but by vision of what the new state would be like and what you are picking the need them now in order for them to be competitive. Say an Ambazonian picking for Kajifu, if he get quality education, we either for inside Kajifu, either for inside Mamfe, either for inside Akwaya, either for inside Yellow. That Ambazonian picking, if he get the quality of education, where it be far better than a picking for Canada and that Ambazonian picking for Kajifu, if he compete with picking for Canada, with picking for Australia, with picking for the United States, with picking for Japan, and get the same access to global opportunities, while it get advantage for local opportunities. So we set a stage for greatness for our people. So the person, the ghost with the Mark Barrettas and the Southern Cameroons International Town Hall, the proxy groups of the failed IGs, where they try to use ghost forces for divert the attention of the liberation struggle. When that person can't talk for you, he don't ever tell you anything about his own ability for build a community school. He don't build a bench. He don't buy a book for an Ambazonian child. When people want to talk about education, make they tell we, make they not only make pronouncements, make they tell we from their own examples in the last 3 years, how many community schools they don't build for the Ambazonian people. Because if you want to talk about education, not just tell me about education, tell me what you don't already do before you can talk about education. Before I want to talk about guns. Now because I did train soldiers, recruit soldiers, train soldiers, armed soldiers. I will talk to you about it because I did do them every day. I will tell you about community schools because I did raise money for give for picking them community schools. I will tell you about community schools. Dr. Abafi tell you about community schools because he build community schools. If he tell you about education because create a board for now, design a curriculum of education, get thousands of Ambazonians today for community schools under the leadership of Ambazonian government. So if we talk about education, independence means independence. When we talk, say, all Cameroon colonial government schools for Ambazonia, they be banned. That because you not fit talk, say, you want independence, and then you live and make the occupier educate you. You know if you tell me say you want independence and you live and make the occupier be your educator. You leave and make the occupier. It is design what you the learner. You know if you tell me say you the fight for independence, but you want make the occupier it be your educator. Jesus Christ. It be unheard of. When we talk say Cameroon colonial government schools, they don't be banned from Ambazonia. We don't only talk. We create an empowering, positive, superior alternative for our people them. Ambazonia community schools. Community schools, they be owned by the Ambazonian people them, they be owned by the community. They not be owned by France through Cameroon. Because the schooling system and education for Ambazonia na part of the trap of the occupation. Na part of the pillars. Na part of the chain where the occupier use them as an instrument of legitimacy. The occupier they use schools and education for Ambazonia as an instrument for their legitimacy for Ambazonia. So once you understand the intent of the occupier and you understand, say they use school systems and education like part of their bargaining chip, say they get, now then they control schools, they get schools for Ambazonia, therefore they get legitimacy for beef for Ambazonia. If you want independence, you must cut that leverage. You must take away that legitimacy from them in order for disassociate, dislodge, push them out and make them, render them useless. That's why the wisdom of our people for colonial school boycott be consistent with scientific logic of the intention of the occupier. Our people don't hate school. They understand the game of the occupier. And we understand so we must create empowering alternative. We not just reject things, but we must offer something different. So, the Ambazonia Governing Council, we don't give una not only the finest liberation force on the ground, but in terms of policy, in terms of focus for the liberation. It talks a look, we not just stop schools. Make all religious schools, they be transformed into community schools. Make all private schools, they be transformed into community schools. We want to make our picking they go school. But we are picking they no go Cameroon schools. They go Ambazonian schools. Because we take our state back, we take our sovereignty back. All religious schools, they be transformed into community schools. Or private schools, they will be transformed into community schools. All right? The only school where it no go ever exist to Ambazonia na Cameroon government schools. And as the governing council don't talk about, the Ambazonia Defense Forces and the Ambazonian people then, any place where Cameroon government school they go dig that school from the foundation. They go dig out. Not be this generation where they will live house slaves. I'll come back to this one. I finish with the one for education first. Because when I know me. So, schools, they will start community schools, Ambazonia community schools, they will start for Ambazonia as from September 1st. As from September 1st, community schools, they go start for inside Ambazonia. Private schools, where they don't obtain permission for function as community schools, they go start school for inside Ambazonia as from September 1st. So, Papa and Mommy them, we want to make our picking go school. We will go Ambazonian community schools, we have private schools, and our own community schools will create them. Plenty communities, chiefs, religious authorities, they don't contact we for work with Ambazonian Governing Council in order for adapt their system into our community school standard for meet up with liberation aspirations of the Ambazonian people. And the thing is we fight for people. So I say the ghost. And then some people will say, oh, but when I bring confusion. Confusion will who? Confusion will who? Will it give you an institutional organizational liberation policy? Confusion will who? There's no confusion. Confusion with ghost. There's no confusion. The message be very clear, be very simple. When I don't see what beginning. In fact, when I give me a moment here, I see if I can go through my system here and find a video of what beginning where they be the match for one of the October celebration for our community schools. When I see how they find, I see how they dress them nicely, beautifully. Make a see but I know say when I don't watch a lot of those videos, but for the purpose of what we talk about here and the significance of it, you just find if I go through my system here, hopefully with the thousands and thousands of files, I will fit get one of those videos and for our community schools. We're picking the match for October 1. And they do the dance. So that may we begin to check sense. You know, so the future start now. We need to wait until when we reach the future before we start to build the future. We're going to start to build the future now. I think that the Ambazonian Governing Council, they build community schools and empower communities and community leaders for build community schools for their communities where they be owned by the Ambazonian people there. When our community schools now we own them. And we'll get thousands and thousands of beginners where they attend community schools. So this got so many so many files here we know about community schools and school beginner. Just to find one. I think I want this. I'm not mistaken. No. Okay, I don't see one.
These are the March Past Parade that commemorate the Independent Day of the British Southern Cameroons, now Ambazonia. As you can see very well, the Ambazonian children are marching well organized with their uniform, which reflects our Anglo-Saxon tradition. Let the world know that we are able to operate and run our own schools, rather than condemning us for rejecting a subjugative educational system being imposed on our people with the intention of brainwashing our kids about their historical facts. The international community should support our community school projects if they are actually interested in our.
Now, one of our many community schools and that from Ambazonia. As I don't see them, now one of many districts and blocks who get thousands of picking them. Picking them where they start school for class 1 3 years ago, we get picking them now where they did for class 3. And at the Ambazonia, for our community schools, now the community, for now, the Ambazonia Governing Council, they take the responsibility for all this picking them. And the Ambazonia Governing Council, it help for buy books. So as picking the camp for school, now the community, now the state, now the Ambazonian people, They give the picking what he need them for come school. Like what you wanna see those picking the match with them. All those things will be provided by the Ambazonia Governing Council. Their matching shoes, their matching uniform, all will be provided by the Ambazonia Governing Council. For thousands of Ambazonia picking them during Independence Day. So for our community schools, we don't take the responsibility, say for any community school we open up, no matter how many the number of children, we go mobilize the resources for give this picking them, wait till they need them for come school and for be for school, so that we know talk say, oh, picking not get the book for reader, you not get back, you not get this for come school. Because the goal now for start to create a culture where the state it be responsible for the people there, it be responsible for the picking their education, would start to set the standard. Now the thing is we make the Amazonia Governing Council. Because what you need for practice in the future, we get for start to do them now. In fact, for one of the community schools, we try now say one time for every week, the school will give picking and chop. One time for a week. We did try to bring a lot of things in for really empower our community and empower our picking them. So once a week, when picking they can school for once a week, they will be able, during lunch break, they get chop for school. The school will provide a chop. We work on some of those things in. So, we not get confidence for our future. When community school will start for Ambazonia, community schools they will open for Ambazonia as from September 1st. All community schools for Ambazonia they go start school. All religious schools where they already transform into community school, they will start school as from September 1st for this 2022. This one now for match up with our policy on education, now for match up with our policy for transform our educational system for the way it fit what we fight for, what we want for our people there. Any teacher, where you be a Cameroon government teacher, and you follow Cameroon Prime Minister advice. Remember, Cameroon Prime Minister and a foreign Prime Minister. Okay? Cameroon Prime Minister and a foreign Prime Minister. Cameroon Minister of Education and a foreign minister. Cameroon educational system and a foreign education system. It only be valid for Cameroon. It not be valid for Ambazonia. So if you be a Cameroon colonial government teacher, and they tell you to make you go for some school, I want to just tell you, me I like for tell in advance. Not risk your life for trying to go please a genocidal dictator and a genocidal prime minister. Not risk your life for go please people that don't care about you, they don't care about your security, they don't care about your life. Not risk your life. No go for Cameroon government's colonial government school. No go. Anything will happen for you. Now you go carry them. Because now you carry your food, you go find palava. Say you want to go serve a foreign government. Now a crime. There is no Cameroon government schools, whether a nursery school, primary school, secondary school, whatever, for instance, Ambazonia. Any person where you try them, now you sabi, now you go carry and use yourself. Because the Ambazonian people already be informed. Transform yourself, work with a reputable, transform yourself, become a volunteer teacher for one of the community schools. All right? But if you take the risk, or say you want to go for Cameroon government school, and ma will just warn up Papa Mami them. We not keep on picking for house. We not keep on picking them away from Cameroon government schools. Okay? We not picking them away from Cameroon government schools. Because the governing council of Ambazonia, it don't give instruction to forces and to Ambazonia communities. Any Cameroon government school where he open a door for teach and implement colonialism for Ambazonia, they go dig them out, they go dig them from the foundation. The Ambazonia Governing Council don't give instructions to Ambazonian forces and the community. Say any Cameroon government school where try when for say one open the doors, make the dig them from ground. When I know how they dig palm tray, if you come up from Manu, you know, so during palm season, you know how they dig palm tray from the roots. We go dig all Cameroon government school there for inside Ambazonia. And all Cameroon colonial government offices, we go dig them from their foundation. Independence means independence. We are prepare ourselves. Opportunities. These community schools, they offer opportunities for Ambazonia entrepreneurs, for business people then. Education is a big business. So I call on Ambazonians. We now open private schools for inside Ambazonia under our community education policies. We now open community nursery schools. We now open community primary schools. We now open community secondary schools. Now an opportunity this. Now an opportunity this for become the people that build a society. If you be a teacher, why you not take the advantage and create a community school, create a nursery school? Why 3 or 4, 5 teachers enough we come together? They create a school for staff to add value to the community. We not take advantage of this moment, of this new opportunity we don't come. We not open schools for serve, we not picking them. And we not start for create progress for our societies. Now an opportunity this. Take advantage of this moment and set yourself up for the future. All right? Be part of the progress, the momentum, the new state. So, I want to laugh because I hear say, in fact, I'll just leave them for here so that tomorrow I'm going to do a program and I'll come, more can laugh about the Ongote. Because I never actually make a response to the colonial prime minister. I don't ask you a question for Twitter. May answer me for Twitter. All right. So I'll be the we get a meeting with the top official for a diploma, and they be very pleased with our policy of education. When they see the fires of our education policy, the person will be very, very pleased. So we work now with a lot of international partners. We really work now with other organizations like UNESCO and UNICEF for recognize the Ambazonia community schools and for say the certificates and way they issue them within our community schools. They be valid and they be accepted internationally. So they work on those things. The governing council they work on those things. Una be rest assured. So they make a lot of progress on these things. Una stay focused. Una not let ourselves be carried away by these political scavengers. Una not let ourselves to be carried away. May una be guided by wisdom. Una be guided by sound policies where they put the best interest of our Pekindem, our future, our state. We as a people, they put those things in front of any political decision. All right? So the decisions then would make them now for make sure say number one, now for create quality for our Pekin in terms of what we offer them. Number two, now for make sure say we advance our liberation struggle. And number three, now for make sure say we delegitimize the authority, they will delegitimize Cameroon, and we'll make sure say they don't use anything in terms of schools and education as part of their legitimacy for Ambazonia. All right? So our school boycott policy, and one of our core liberation strategy in order for delegitimize Cameroon and weaken their ability for tell the international system say they get anything with the fee offer them as value, and as a result they get a reason for be for what continues the occupation of Ambazonia. So I hope say our interaction for here for today don't give them a lot of clarity, it don't bring a lot of understanding for a lot of things they want to not be understanding before, and therefore by this interaction you don't be a lot more a better person, because you don't be a lot more you don't get better information, you don't get clarity, and you don't get things that make a lot of sense, or don't get a very constructive conversation as a people. All right. So when I take this information, when I share them with communities, when I share them with everybody, when I share them across the Ambazonia, I'll see if I fit take these things and make them for audios. All right. So I'm gonna take care again before I go. All community schools, religious schools, private schools, whether they operate under our community school guidance guidelines, they start school as from September 1st. All right. So any person will get a question, please. My phone number there for una day, my WhatsApp. Una contact me for WhatsApp. If you contact me, please try to be very civil and be very respectful. If you be very respectful, I go respond. But if you come another way, say you know how to respond when you come another way. All right. So I be very. If you also, which I don't talk here, don't touch you, and you want to make a contribution for our community schools, for support our community schools initiative, for send picking them back to school, we'll be very welcome for receive contributions for empower communities, for empower teachers them, and give them the tools where they need them for get what picking them, they start for learn, especially with now the start for provide some kind of technology them for teachers and for picking them. Okay, so feel free for contact me. Feel free for reach out for we. Feel free for say it is you person we love education and you love the idea of community empowerment through community schools. Reach out for we become a partner to the Ambazonia Governing Council community education program. All right, make una get una self a wonderful evening. May God bless una. May God keep una safe. We'll talk una tomorrow. Now join me for here at once I come live. If you never subscribe, please subscribe for my channel here, because as you know, I did for work because of work. So I don't live some kind of life. The last too much work, but I will continue to do our best for make sure say we continue for give an update, continue for keep informed, and continue for provide the leadership and the guidance from the leader. All right. So we'll talk on that tomorrow. Share this video, make it go very far, and inform people them. Say community schools. It is start from Ambazonia as from September 1st. When I get a good night. My name is Lucas Asu. I'm the press secretary for the Ambazonia Governing Council, and I'll be one of the best educator for liberation educator. All right. As always, I love you now. Una take care. May God bless you now. We'll see you tomorrow. Una good night.
Going back to school. As you can see, the children of the British Southern Cameroons, now Ambazonia. As you can see very well, the Ambazonian children are marching well organized with their uniform, which reflects our Anglo-Saxon tradition. Let the world know that we are able to operate and run our own schools, rather than condemning us for rejecting a subjugative educational system being imposed on our people with the intention of brainwashing our kids about their historical